نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So yesterday we were discussing the hadith about the seven who will be given the shade of the shade of the throne on the day of gathering. So the first we discussed the day of the gathering itself. We've done that. Now we're going to move on. The first person was Al-Imamul Adil, a just ruler. Imam over here means ruler. Even an imam of a masjid as well, he's leading them in a religious duty or religious way. So you can say that he's a ruler in that regard. So why is the just ruler so special that he's given special attention at that time where everyone wants comfort? He's been chosen. So what's so special about him? So the condition is special. It's not just the ruler. It's a just ruler, somebody who actually serves justice. As we go along and discuss the seven people, we will notice a commonality that I will disclose right now. That all of them will be swimming against a massive current, whether internal or external. Some will be swimming against an internal emotional massive current and the others external. So a just ruler. There's a saying, it goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. When you have absolute power, when you don't have to worry about accountability, you will be corrupted. Why? Because as humans, we only don't do stuff when we are fearful of the repercussions. We don't break a light because you're like, maybe I'll get into an accident. And if there are no cars, we still don't break it because maybe I'll get a ticket. So a just ruler is in a position where he's at the top of the hierarchy. Nobody's holding him accountable. He can exercise his rights in a way, his authority in a way that is going to be unlawful, but still nobody can hold him accountable. At this point, when he decides to pursue justice instead, that means who is he doing it for? Not for the law, not for the people. Who is he doing it for? He's doing it for Allah. So there's sincerity in his justice. That is one point. Number two, being in a rulership position, a person will only understand the burdens of rulership who is in that position. It's very hard for an outsider to understand. I'll give you an example. Actually, no, we'll just talk about Hazrat Umar radiallahu anh. It's a very interesting story. So Umar radiallahu anh, in his caliphate, this is the second caliph of Islam, direct student of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So we know how he ran the sultanate, how he ran the caliphate. He would go out at night just to make sure that everybody was at peace, everybody was comfortable, there was no riots or anything of that sort going on, because he was so afraid of accountability in the hereafter. So once he's patrolling at night, his assistant, Aslam, is with him. He comes across, a house. It's slightly dilapidated, and he hears crying. So he sees that there is a woman, and there are about 3 kids, I think 3 or 4. They're crying around her. And he sees that on the stove there's slightly bigger utensil that's cooking. So he goes, everything okay? These kids are just shrieking and crying. What's wrong with them? They're starving. They're very hungry. So he says, okay, then, food, give them food. She goes, no, there's no food in the utensil. There's just water and some stones. I'm just cooking them because, human psyche, we survive on hope. So with the hope that there will be food ready soon, they will, keep crying, but they will still have that hope. They won't be hopeless. Eventually they'll fall asleep and they'll just go to sleep starving. So that's why I'm doing this. Otherwise I wouldn't have done it. So he goes, okay. And once he says that, you know what the woman says? She says, Allahu baynana wa bayna al-Umar. That Allah Azza wa Jal, He will ask Umar on the day of judgment, basically. He's going to judge between us. So Umar goes, well, how would he know? He's running us, and this is in the year of the ashes. There's a famine running, sweeping across Medina and other states. So he goes, how would he know? So she goes, يَتَوَلَّى أَمْرَنَا وَيَغْفُلُ عَنَّا. He assumes a leadership position, and then he forgets about us. He gets heedless about us, unmindful about us. It's his fault. Umar, he goes, okay, and this guy is already, filled with taqwa. He's already afraid of Allah Azza wa Jal. So he goes, okay, let's go back. So he goes, now he doesn't get defensive. There's a lesson for both of us, like for the leader and for the follower. At this point, he could have, given her administrative excuses and other stuff. He doesn't. He just goes back to the treasury, the national treasury, the Baytul Mal, with Aslam, and he picks up a sack. He fills it up with, flour and dates and fat to cook. And then he starts, it's a big sack. So he tries to hold it. He tries to put it on his back. So when he's doing that, Aslam goes, Ya Amirul Mu'mineen, atini, and give it to me. I will carry it. This is my job. So Umar says something that's very famous. أَأَنْتَ تَحْمِلُ وِزْرِي يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Will you carry my load on the Day of Judgment too? He goes, no, nobody can carry the other person's load on the Day of Judgment. You have to be accountable for your own deeds. So he goes, okay then, let me carry it. So he carries it and he takes it over there. And then Aslam describes later on, rahimahullah, that he actually, put the stuff in the utensil to cook. And he was blowing at the fire for it to kindle. And he had a thick beard. So the smoke was going into his beard. He describes that scene. And after that was done, after the food was ready, he moves back and he sits down at a distance. He's a busy guy. And this is really late at night. He goes, let's just go, So he goes, no, we'll sit for a bit. And then the kids eat and they start playing. And they get, they get into a food coma and they go to sleep. And he leaves then. He goes, why were you sitting there? He goes, I saw them crying for a while. I felt like I wanted to see them happy for a little while too. So at this point, he's the leader. He's one of the best leaders in history. And it's not, Muslims don't say it, even the atheists say it. Multiple books written on him, on his administration, and how wonderful it was, how he covered almost the same amount of kingdom as Alexander. One of the best leaders, and what are the followers saying? Allahu baynana wa baynahum. That Allah will judge between us. So even he's underappreciated. So this is something that's very common. Leaders will always be underappreciated. And even when you look at leadership positions, it doesn't have to be, the king that I'm talking about. Even in leadership, you just look at us. Even, have you met a masjid where all the musallis loved the board? I've seen many. I have not seen even one that could, do this. Why? Because they're in the administrative position. In the administrative position, a lot of times a person will have to go against their own desire. Even if they're soft, they're compassionate, just to maintain organizational stability, they will have to go against their own nature. And they have to absorb the underappreciation. Obviously, they're humans. Every human will have their faults. But when we are in the follower position, we should understand that, to give the people who are running the show, who are administrating the stuff, to give them leeway. To be like, they might have things that are going on with them that we don't understand. And we really don't. And similarly, when we are in the leadership position, then what we do is we don't make excuses. We try to serve everybody and absorb the underappreciation, because it will still happen. We absorb it and we're just going to do good by Allah Azza wa Jal, and later on He will appreciate us. Allahu Shakir wal Alim. So may Allah Azza wa Jal. This was the Imam al-Adil. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll try to make it a little bit shorter, so we can cover all 7 of them soon. It's going to be Shabun Nasha'a fi ibadati Rabbi, a youth who grows up in worship. He will be given the shade of the throne. So may Allah Azza wa Jal give us an understanding of the hadith, the narrations, Quran, and enable us to implement it on our lives. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.